Hey everyone, I'm Yayi Dia. I'm the founder of Eleveé Co. and the Editor-in-Chief of Eleveé Magazine, and I am super excited to be here today. I am a creative director by nature. I'm also a style director, aka wardrobe stylist. I also curate events and have been doing that for about 4 years. And yeah, I'm a multidisciplinary creative. I love being creative in every facet, and I use my wealth of knowledge to be able to fuel that.
Hello everyone, my name is Jean Rios, photographer here in Buffalo, New York. I'm originally from Puerto Rico, and I'm just here to tell stories the best I can. I'm also creative directing for Eleveé Magazine. Super excited about that.
What feeds your creativity and why?
Lived experiences. I would say lived experiences, like the nuances of life, travel, all of these feed my creativity. Also just alone time, like being alone, being able to sit with my thoughts and my emotions gives me time to make sense of them in a way that allows me to be creative. I would also add like knowledge, like learning more every single day. I'm like a bit of a history nut in terms of world history and like political history. And so just making sense of, again, the world around me as it's unfolding, being able to go back to the drawing board and feed myself in those ways creatively and create something bigger than myself out of that is something to be grateful for sure.
I don't know, I always say like sadness feeds my creativity just because I feel a lot of stories are attached to it. And it just makes for a more interesting story in my opinion. So that's where a lot of the creative outlets come from, whatever's sad, a lot of sad movies. I watch a lot of anime too. I feel very inspired by anime and its frames and stuff like that, so I try to bring that into real life as well. So that's where a lot of like my creative stuff comes from. Obviously, personal things, love, lost love, and all that fun stuff. Next question we got: when and how did you take the time to discover and marry your artistry?
So the time that I discovered my artistry and the time that I married my artistry are two different time periods in my life. I would say that I discovered my artistry late in high school. I thought my world ended in terms of academia. Like I thought that's where everything stopped and ended for me. And so I was a scholar like my whole life, and I used that to get me in all the rooms that I was in. And then I learned that I am creative, and it took for me to start modeling to find out. And when I did start modeling, it was really dope to be able to dive into that realm because shortly after I started like curating my own outfits and started feeling myself in that way. And then I started curating my sets in terms of photo shoot things and creatively directing in that way. And I started inching, and by 2022, I was curating brunch tours across the country, and it was a beautiful time, and being able to tap into that has been all a part of my discovery journey. But I would say that I didn't marry my artistry until recently. I would say in about 2024, when I knew that I didn't really have very many avenues to go down because I don't want to work for anybody. So I decided that, like, when I was a senior in college, and I used that time to dedicate myself to my artistry and figure out whatever it is, and figure out exactly what disciplines I wanted to commit to. And it's been up from there.
I discovered I was artistic when COVID happened. I was watching this guy called Ergo Josh on YouTube. He just started his YouTube, and then that's when YouTube started like live streaming a lot. And he was using this app called Procreate to just draw. And then he said, I did this challenge for a year, and I drew every day for about 30 minutes, and I became a pretty good portrait artist. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take on that challenge and draw for a year for 15 or 30 minutes and see where that takes me, just to like challenge myself and just commit to something, because I felt like at that point I was like kind of lost. So I wanted to commit to something creative. And I did that for about a year straight, and I became pretty good artist using Procreate and just nonstop. And then I completely stopped drawing. Like that was like the last time I drew. From there, I just kept studying, photography for a while, about 3 or 4 years. It usually takes me a very long time to actually take on something because I really want to be perfect at it before I even do it, which doesn't make sense. So the lesson here is to just go out there and do it, because that's when you actually start to learn something. It took me 3 or 4 years to pick up a camera. And then when I picked up the camera, I still realized I knew nothing. So then that's when I really a lot of things started to click, where it's like, okay, just go out there and just do whatever you really want to do, and make it happen for yourself. Sometimes you just got to take that step forward. And I took that on the first, I went to see the first Buffalo Fashion Runway show, and I saw a community of creatives there, something that existed that I didn't know was there before. And I just decided to pick up a camera, spent $2,500 on my first setup, and I'm still using that setup to this day to just create and tell stories as much as, as best I can. So yeah, that's why I've married it.
Okay, this is a long one. Who wrote this question?
Map out the highlights of your creative career. Connect your story with elements and moments that might have foreshadowed producing a culture and lifestyle fusion of a community and art medium.
I would say the first thing is when I first started modeling, which was in 2020. In 2021, I decided that I was not just a model, but that my creativity didn't stop there. And so I started doing things like styling outfits for other people for free. I was in my influencer bag real bad in 2021, and I was an Amazon Prime student influencer, and I was doing a lot of like deals with brands like Topicals, like True Religion, and they sent me a lot of like merch and products to promote on social media. And I did that, I think, over the course of 2021 is when I really became like a creator. And in 2022, I realized that I had the ability to bring together communities of people. And so I did that in the form of a brunch tour in 4 different cities: St. Louis, Houston, Texas, Columbia, South Carolina, and Atlanta, Georgia. And they all sold out. And that's when I knew that I was actually limitless. And I was like, I can do a lot with my little powers and with faith. From there, I think 2023 was like my creative hiatus. And that was, I think, a highlight for me. I took the time to stop pursuing my modeling career completely. I also took some time to build an Airbnb business, and it flourished and it failed just as fast. And that was like such a pivotal and learning moment. I made the most money I ever made in a couple of months. And because of the operational limitations that I had and some of the strategic structures that were not in place that I, have learned my lesson from now, I think that's where that sense of failure came from. But there was so much that I knew was to come from that. And so when I started creating again in 2024, I had been trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. I decided to move to Buffalo late that year on a whim. And when I got here, I kind of hit the ground running. I joined the Buffalo Fashion Runway team before I even got here. And since the moment I got here, I was just like literally working. I went to Art Basel maybe a week after I got here and been hitting the ground running since. I think those have been like just my girth for pushing forward creatively has been those highlights. His question is, take us back to becoming the creative director for Eleveé Magazine and the initial ask/pitch. What were your thoughts and feelings, and what has been your level of anticipation so far?
For sure. My first thought was, do I really want to work with Yayi again? That was my first question. That was my first thought in my head.
That's an honest answer.
It's honest.
It is.
The first thing I was told was that I was able to be the creative director for it and have creative autonomy, which is something that was important to me at the time, and it still is, to just be able to have that creative freedom to create a full-on magazine and just lead that effort moving forward without, too many hurdles in the way. And it's something that I've been looking to work towards, for somebody to really just trust my creative vision and process and be able to put it into something that's meaningful. So that was something that attracted me to the project. And then, how passionate the other person is, right? I'm not going to go into anything that's, loosely passionate, just an idea that, sounds fun or good at the time. But it seemed like, Yayi was super passionate about what she was trying to do. And she had made steps to make it happen, like going for LLC and all that fun stuff. So I'm like, okay, this is actually serious. She's putting a lot of effort, money behind this. So I'm definitely, going to sign up and help her out a little bit. So hopefully, we were able to create something great. not just for ourselves, but for the audience that we're trying to tell the story to.
Question for you. What is Eleveé Co? Why did you create this universe? What is so special about Eleveé Co? Nice
Let's
and
start
sweet.
with that first question. It's a lot of layers.
What is it?
I asked 3 questions and 1 for every question.
Yeah.
So
You did this.
Eleveé Co is a branding agency. It is rooted in pillars like beauty, art, fashion, wellness, and love, culture, and community. I am really excited about this because this is a universe that is not only a branding agency that solicits services like creative direction, style direction, or brand experiences in the form of event curation, but we also have the opportunity to bring about creativity in a way that establishes nuance and nostalgia as well. Takes you back to certain points of your life, takes you back to certain situations in your life that call for you to show up differently, that call for you to show up in a more challenged way, and again, a more nuanced way. So that's Eleveé Co to me. And what was the rest of that?
I think you got it. But what's so special about it?
Oh, this is my baby. Are you kidding me? Like, need I say more? Honestly, but honestly, I'm very passionate in nature. Like, I'm passionate about everything that I love and that I care about. And when I invest my time and energy into something, an entity, a project, I have really high expectations for the results. So I guess that's where my love for Eleveé is rooted. And making sure that this happens not just for me, but for the community that we're trying to evoke and create alongside the creation of the magazine itself. Creative industries are tough. How do you navigate breaking out into ambitious ventures like this and assessing what is worth pouring your creative energy into?
I'm still figuring it out as I'm going along, just trying different things. I mean, I think I've gotten out of that, trying everything and anything phase in the first 2 years. So on this next year is about driving everything with intention. That's like my main thing when going into photography or creative direction or whatever. My next step is to just intentionality and whatever seems, attractive to me to be able to tackle. For me, I tell this to everybody, is like I shoot based on the vibe of, the scenery and how we're doing. Obviously, we go in there with all these plans and things like that. But if you stay too attached to the plan, it just puts you in a box of creativity. So you don't want to be in that box. You want to be open. So I want to enter every room, every creative avenue with freedom, and that's what I want to do moving forward.
Period. That's a good answer. How I navigate. So I'm ambitious as fuck. Like, to be clear, very ambitious. I am very competitive with myself. And like I said, I have a lot of girth for what I do create, whether it's academic, athletic, it doesn't matter what it is. If I said I'm going to put my name behind something, then I'm going to try with all my might, like at that thing. And so that's something I'm really grateful for, that level of determination for sure. But that's how I navigate. I feel like life doesn't exist. My life doesn't exist without risks. I didn't come from very much, so I'm just choosing my heart. And I think that it takes immense belief in yourself, even and especially when things are going wrong. And so that's what I'm learning to settle into and to adopt over time, is to really believe in myself in a way that discounts anything else that might exist with that. Discuss your co-producer for this magazine issue. Why are you excited, so elated to work with her?
Excited is a strong word. Describe Yayi.
Yo.
Passionate. I mean, I think that's the root of who Yayi is this passion behind those eyes. And you just want to help her get to where she wants to get to, just because it feels like you can probably get there too. So that's why I continue to work with her.
My co-producer, he's awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Like, in every facet, he is, aside from being a creative, like an amazing individual. I think when we met, we connected right away. He walked up to me, literally taking pictures of me. And I was like, who is this taking pictures in my face like this? I was so petrified and nervous. I hadn't even moved to Buffalo yet. And I was like, wait, these pictures are bomb though. Like, so when I saw them online, I was just like, oh, he's really good at what he does. And when we finally got to connect and become friends and work together in a team space, I mean, he's been the most supportive, really most calm, grounding, like, teammate ever. And so I am so grateful for his presence in that way. I'm really grateful for how he shows up in every space he occupies. He knows exactly where to fit and also just how to maneuver in a way that makes sense for him as well as the space that he's in for other people around him. Just an all-around selfless individual. And I like to speak to that before I speak to anyone's like work or creativity, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I think that Jean takes his consistency in other parts of his life, his determination, his passion, but he takes that to every other thing he creates, and it shows. I don't ever have to explain his work when I introduce it, and that's a beautiful thing. He commands a room when he walks in it, but he also commands a space when he shows his work. So I'm really grateful to be working alongside him. We definitely are like oil and water, as he would say.
Yeah, we don't mesh at all.
But it makes sense. So talk about the core team for Eleveé Magazine, the unique elements that each person adds to the space, and what you most look forward to about producing this issue.
Yeah, super excited about the core team. Everyone is a creative in their own right. I'm just excited to kind of mesh all these ideas together to really just create something special for the audience that we're looking to attack. I mean, everything from creative styling to graphic design to photography, videography, all that fun stuff that makes a product. So I'm just excited to be able to work with everyone and just learn a little bit about everybody at the same time, to be able to create the best things that we can. So that's the goal.
This is
What do you think?
This is a super team so far. The core team is, as y'all can see, like the best energy. I think today has been very telling of that. We've been here for a little minute, but like everyone has stood this test of time and been so enthusiastic, except Jean. And everyone's been so enthusiastic and excited. And just in terms of the rollout to even creating Eleveé Co., my anticipation for telling the people that I did, it was different reasons why I was excited for telling each individual person on this core team. And they proved to me exactly why I was excited in the first place. And so I'm just grateful that everyone is so willing and like excited to be a part. Like, I've never seen anything like it. I think aside from just being invested in it, I'm not a micromanaging type of person. I don't like to do it. And so when I have any opportunity to take a back seat, I am so happy to do that. I'm super whimsy, and I can appreciate anybody in any space that allows me to be that, and unapologetically, and that protects my whimsy. And I think that all these people do it individually in so many beautiful ways, but together, so far, I'm just so grateful, to say the least. And Luke Mon, behind the camera. Y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know the half. Like, I love all of them. So I'm just grateful to be here. What message do you hope to send in this issue? Why would an audience engage with you? What story do you hope to tell and have stick forever?
That's 3 questions. You said last question, you gave me 3 questions. I think one of the main things that we talked about is that life is not black and white. And I think this is one of the things that we want to showcase in this issue, is that there's a lot of color in life and a lot of color in love. And that's one of the things that we're really targeting and talking about. I think we've got about 6 or 7 different concepts just on love itself. I mean, it's something we really want to focus on for this issue. I love to talk about love, not always the happy part, but mostly the sad part. But we're going to add some happy love in there as well. And just kind of bring all those different stories about love into this issue, and all that color and life into it. Even if we, shoot a couple black and white pictures, there's also a lot of color behind that, because now you can imagine the color behind that picture, which is why I love black and white photography so much. So we're going to showcase a lot of different skills and avenues of creativity through there, and just looking to be perfectly imperfect. So we're super excited about that.
Discuss the importance of storytelling, discipline, and writing in your life and work across industries and mediums.
When I was a kid, I had a diary. I wrote in my diary about everything, and that was my old reliable. That was my way of interacting with myself beyond my interpersonal interactions with other people in the world. When you're younger, and naturally, I have a very social life. Don't get me wrong, but I am naturally pretty introverted. I like to be at home. I like to spend time with myself. And when you are being socialized, that simply is, it don't exist. Like for toddlers and things like that. Like, and I was very hyper vigilant, very hyper aware as a child. And so when I entered the world, I feel like in terms of socializing, being a social person, I wasn't quite ready for that, but I jumped in. And so my outlet was always writing. It was always like being able to talk about things in the way that I understood it, even if nobody else understood it the same way, nobody necessarily agreed. And it also helped me to be more accepting of other people, be more accepting of the things and situations around me that were unfolding. And that's honestly where I find the importance of storytelling. I feel like writing has been such a big part of my life that now storytelling is how I get by. Being able to tell a story of not only the past, but also what's happening in real time, and being able to allow things to unfold in a story that makes sense for what might come of the future. Storytelling is very important. I think that visual storytelling is very important. Storytelling by writing is very important. Storytelling by music is very important. And those are all the things that kind of drive different things in my life. It drives a lot of what makes me happy, what makes me feel driven and passionate, and what makes me feel artistic. Like, I wasn't, like I said, an artist by discipline for a long time, but I definitely discovered it. It was always there, and I just needed to figure out how to activate it. And I think writing and storytelling has like been that thing to do that for me. I think that's it. Low key.
Yeah, I think we did it. That's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
We're out of here. Clap it up.